So, one important topic I'd like to cover with everyone today is the network of alliances that the Spaniards built with indigenous people after arriving in Mexico. When the Spaniards first arrived in Mexico, they actually didn't come by themselves. They did bring along Taino natives from the Caribbean. And we do know that at least one of the conquistadors was of African ancestry, a man named Juan Garrido, who was actually born in West Africa. He was actually a free man when he arrived in the Americas, and he served as a conquistador in Cortez's expedition. And I'm sure you're well aware of La Malinche, also known as Doña Marina. She served as Cortez's interpreter as he made his way through central Mexico. But there's actually a lot more to the story. Cortez didn't just make alliances with people like the Tlaxcalans and have native guides such as Malinche. He actually had a network of alliances that he built from the coast of Veracruz all the way to Tenochtitlan, the Aztec capital. What Cortez noticed as he journeyed across central Mexico was that many of these groups in the region held lots of resentment against the Aztecs. You have to remember the core of the Aztec dominion was that island that they lived on in Lake Texcoco in central Mexico. That island was called Mexico. And on that island, there were two towns. There was Tenochtitlan, the capital, and there was also Tlatelolco. So, with very few exceptions, much of what they controlled outside of that island was won through conquest. So, all of these towns across central Mexico that were within the Aztec dominion, they had a historical memory of, at one point in their past, not being under the control of Tenochtitlan. And part of that control that the Aztecs had over their neighbors entailed exacting tribute from them, like tax payments, and then also handing over people for human sacrifice. Now, there were many other cultures in the region that practiced human sacrifice, so that wasn't necessarily a uniquely Aztec thing. But the arrangement that the Aztecs had with these groups in the region, these people were taken through coercion. So when Cortez arrived in the Valley of Mexico, central Mexico, he stepped into a pre-existing regional conflict. So there were some groups that very early on allied with these foreigners. The most notable of these is the Totonacas, actually not the Tlaxcalans. The place where he first encountered the Totonacas was the area that is now known as the Mexican state of Veracruz. So this was very early on in his arrival to central Mexico.